Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Elise with All Things Elise. In this week's What's for Dinner video, you will be seeing 5 easy and budget-friendly dinner ideas. I'd love for you to stick around and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Anyways, let's get right into the first dinner. So first up is going to be a Cajun smoked sausage Alfredo. The first thing I'm going to be doing is just chopping up a package of these smoked turkey sausages. You could use kielbasa, beef, turkey, whatever you want to use. It would all be great in this dish. So I started off by using some bacon grease because I had some left over from a meal that you will see soon. I am going to fry these up so they are brown, and then I'm going to be adding in about 3 cups of heavy cream. Now I'm adding in some garlic powder. You could use fresh garlic if you wanted to, and then I'm going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of a New Orleans style Cajun seasoning. Okay, now that is lightly boiling, I'm going to add in 2 cups of shredded Parmesan cheese. I then realized it was like the whole package, so I'm adding in the entire package of Parmesan cheese, and you're going to mix that together until it all melts and the sauce will thicken up. Now you can use any pasta of your choice. I did decide to use whole wheat penne pasta, and it was fantastic. Topped it with some fresh Parmesan cheese, and voila! Next up is pork chops, mushroom gravy, mashed potatoes, and collard greens. Don't you look at me like that when you break my heart like that, like you're feeling sorry, 'cause you're not feeling sorry. Hey, hey. Don't you look at me like that when you break my heart like that, like you're feeling sorry. It's your own fault. Now toss the soul. Don't you look at me like that. For this recipe, I'm using 1 onion diced up finely, and now that my skillet is hot, I'm going to be adding in my 4 pork chops, seasoning it with onion powder, salt, pepper, and then I'm going to be throwing in about 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just browning the outsides of these pork chops, and I'm going to let them finish cooking in the gravy. Now we are going to be taking out the pork chops, adding in the onion, and we are going to cook these down for quite a while. I want them to be very tender. So while that is happening, I am going to be dicing up a package of these button mushrooms. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, Now I'm going to add in my mushrooms, and I'm going to cook these until they become slightly tender. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Now that those have cooked, I'm going to push them to the side and add in about 6 tablespoons of butter. I would have used a whole stick, but that's what I had in front of me, and I said good enough. So that's what I did here. Once that has melted, I'm going to add in a 1/2 cup of flour. Mix it together, let the flour cook for a minute or so it cooks off that raw flour flavor, and then I'm going to slowly be adding in broth. Just use whatever you have on hand. But we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know. Season it with some pepper and salt, and then you're going to add your pork chops back in to finish cooking.
falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling.
I served the pork chops with mashed potatoes and collard greens and topped everything with the gravy we just made.
The sky is falling down.
Our next meal was homemade biscuits and gravy, hash brown casserole, bacon, and eggs, so breakfast for dinner. Let's get started with the biscuits. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 425 degrees and put a stick of butter in the freezer. You're going to need 2 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. The key is to make sure your butter is very cold. So you're going to be using 6 tablespoons of butter, and you're going to be chopping them up into small little pieces. Adding in 3/4 cup of buttermilk would be best. I didn't have any, so I'm using a regular whole milk here. And then we're going to mix it together, and we're going to work it out onto a lightly floured surface. The key is going to be not to overhandle it because you do not want that butter to melt. Fold your dough over itself about 4 or 5 times just to work it together. It's what makes the insides flaky. And then you are going to use a biscuit cutter, or in my case, a measuring cup. Mom, if you're watching, I could use a biscuit cutter for Christmas and maybe a hand mixer, unless I'm pushing it. That dough should be about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch thick, and just keep going until you have used all of your dough. It should give you about 6 to 7 biscuits, which is exactly what I got. Alright, while the biscuits are in the oven, I'm going to get started on the hash brown casserole. I have made this before, so I will leave the link to the video with that recipe down below. Alright, go ahead and grab a casserole dish, and you are going to use 1 bag of shredded hash browns. You are going to defrost them, make sure they're not frozen, melt 1 stick of butter, use 1 can of cream of chicken, and you are going to be mixing it together. Don't use a small bowl, use a big bowl, you'll see. Okay, now you're going to use a half a block of cream cheese, or in my case, being resourceful, I am using up some whipped cream cheese before it goes bad. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, about a half a cup. Now, about 1 cup of cream cheese. The biscuits are done. Look at those. Yum. Okay, whipping that all together. And then we are going to be adding in our onions, some cheddar cheese. That's all I had. So the rest of the cheese that I need will be mozzarella. You are going to mix that in with the hash browns, stir it all together so it's well combined. Top with more cheddar cheese, or in my case, mozzarella cheese. It was still fantastic with that though. And then you are going to bake this in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. You can't overcook this stuff, I swear. You could leave it in there for days and it would still be good. Maybe not days, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, just bake it for like 45 minutes to an hour. It is awesome. Now I'm just going to go ahead and get my bacon on my sheet, throw that in the oven with the casserole so it can cook at the same time. It is sausage gravy time, so I'm starting off with 1 pound of the regular Jimmy Dean's breakfast sausage. You could use hot if you wanted it spicy, but I'm using just regular. So I'm going to brown this up.
I'm longing to live this free life I've been hearing about. You will see us howling.
Alright, now that the sausage is brown, I'm going to be removing it from my skillet. Leave whatever grease is in there because that is flavor. I'm adding in about 1 stick of butter, a half a cup of flour. Let this cook for a minute or so to cook off, again, that flour flavor. And we are going to slowly be adding in milk little by little so it gets nice and thick. Once that is done, you are going to add back in the sausage and you will see that the gravy gets really thick. It is fantastic. Once you've made it at home, you will never like it out in a restaurant ever again. Add some pepper, remove it from heat as soon as it starts to thicken up.
Ain't no worries, ain't no worries. Don't you worry about a thing.
The casserole is all done. Look at that. It is so good. I am going to be frying up 2 eggs, one for me, one for Greg, and we will get dinner on the table.
Different things. I said, hey, call it a start by leaving behind what's breaking our hearts. I said, hey.
Tonight was spaghetti night, so I needed something quick and easy. I'm starting off with 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of ground turkey. It's what I had, so I wanted to use whatever turkey I had left. I'm using some minced onions, some garlic powder, salt, pepper. We are going to brown this up, drain off the grease, and I am also going to be using whole wheat spaghetti for this dinner, so I will get the water boiling for that. Now that it's browned, I'm going to be using 1 can of spaghetti sauce, and I had some marinara left over, so I wanted to use that up, and I threw that in. I always put pepperoni in my spaghetti sauce. It gives it such good flavor. I don't know why, I just do, and it's wonderful. You should try it. Now the sauce was a little too dry for me, so I'm adding in 1 can of tomato sauce, and then I'm going to be adding in some more seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and a little bit more salt. And I'm going to let this cook on the stove for an hour or 2 until dinner is ready. Last dinner for this week is a chicken and stuffing casserole. This was super good, fast, easy. I'm definitely going to be making this again. I might make a couple changes, but I will mention those as we go. So I am starting off with 3 chicken breasts, and I'm going to chop them up into cubes. You could boil the chicken and shred it however you want to do it. Tonight I needed it quick, so I am just going to cook it in my skillet.
And I won't waste it. And I promise that I will stand.
Okay, now that my skillet is hot, I'm going to be adding in the chicken with some pepper, salt, and onion powder, and I'm going to brown up this meat. Okay, now you're going to go ahead and remove the chicken from the pan, a half a stick of butter, 1 can of cream of chicken, and you are going to whisk this together, scrape all the stuff off the bottom of the pan, which is just my minced dried onions that I used, and now I'm adding in probably about 1 cup of beef broth. This is where I should have added in my cream cheese chunks, but I forgot, I did it later. So go ahead, and this is where you would do that. 1 can of green beans or whatever vegetables you want to use. You could also use frozen vegetables. Add this to your casserole dish, and you are going to be topping it with stovetop stuffing mix that you have pre-made. You are going to bake this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes, then take the lid off or aluminum foil off and bake an additional 5 to 7 minutes. Alright, so this dinner is not pretty, but the taste is absolutely beautiful, so you should give it a try. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and got some easy and budget-friendly dinner ideas or inspiration for your home. Remember, the best compliment you can give me is a thumbs up on this video and hitting that subscribe button before you go, and I'll see you in the next one.